Welcome to Sessions with Shaw. My name is Ryan Shaw, and this is our first episode of many to come, featuring great jazz music with great jazz artists. Today's episode is somewhat of a restream of a show that we did with Jacob Mann a couple months back, but coming up we have many other great guests planned, like James Morrison, Emma Smith, and many more. You can subscribe to this channel on YouTube for the full episodes and songs, and then we'll also be posting frequent clips on Instagram and TikTok, so you can subscribe there as well if you wish to see those. That's all linked in the description below, and then look out for a future email list, potential Patreon for extra songs, and more. In each episode of this show, we'll be playing great swinging music with a core band that typically involves myself on drums, Alex Frank on bass, and Graham Dechter on guitar. Tamir Hendelman is joining us in the near future, along with Jordan Siegel, and we have many exciting things to come that I can't wait to share. The other piece of this show that I'm very excited for is interviewing each guest to understand a little bit more about their approach to jazz and the music we're showcasing on the show specifically. So without any further ado, thank you so much for tuning in, and here is Kogi by Jacob Mann. Our guest today is Jacob Mann. He grew up in Las Vegas and made his way to Los Angeles via USC, which is where I originally came across him, met him. I think you were 2 years ahead of me at USC. But we'll talk about all of the different projects he has and all the music he has. But welcome, Jacob Mann. Thank you for being here.
Ryan, thank you so much for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. So the songs we just played were two of your originals.
Yes.
First was Fiore, which came from, that's how you say it, correct?
Yes.
That came from your 106 album. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So during the lockdown and the pandemic, I sort of, you couldn't get together to make music with other people. So I was home with my Roland Juno 106 keyboard. And for a while, I had dabbled with making tracks that only use sounds from that Juno synth. And so I would kind of, just be at home kind of running these experiments almost. And then those kind of turned into songs. I fleshed them out. And one of the experiments was, let me try to make like a Nelson Riddle sounding flute solo, just using Juno sounds. So I put together like, a swinging kind of hi-hat beat and a bass line, and then played a solo and then harmonized it like 4 times. And it was over the tune Just Friends, like those chord changes. And so I kind of just did it and thought nothing of it. And then, when it came time to put the album together, I was like, oh, well, this is like a nice little interlude for it. And it's something I really enjoyed doing. And those sounds from that synth inspire me to write in different ways. And then, it's been great bringing that tune to life with, the quartet. You, Alex, and Graham just did such an amazing job of learning it and adding to the arrangement.
Thanks.
And so, it's now I can't imagine it playing it live any other way than that, which is great.
Well, I mean, I'd love to see the Juno way, but it's pretty awesome. I love that original. And then, seeing what it has become now. That version, both of them are streaming. So there's a version of the quartet that is available now that's streaming, along with the second song in the way that we did it, which is Kogi.
Yes.
And that is named after the food truck, correctly?
Of course. Yeah. Roy Choi, a great food truck. Some would say started the LA food truck craze. And they're just, they would pull up at USC on Tuesday nights to dump their leftovers between like 10 and 11 p.m. and everyone would be lined up. We'd go like once a week. And so I thought, the original tune I wrote for this was big band, or the original arrangement was for big band. And there's a lot of different moving parts in this, and kind of similar to like the crazy amount of ingredients that come in a dish from that truck. And so I thought that would be a fitting title.
Nice.
But that's another one where, the original sort of super loud and bombastic. And with this quartet version, I like that, it's a little more subdued, but still has a lot of energy and kind of plays to everyone's strengths. Like Graham just rips over the swing section and the solos. And it's just a lot of fun. I don't like to have my tunes get too stale or like rigid or force people to play a certain way. I'd rather kind of play to the strengths of any ensemble I'm a part of. And so, it's been really fun reimagining that tune as well.
Nice. So, both of those are available anywhere you listen to music, those versions. And then Jacob's versions are also available. That one, Kogi, your original, is on Greatest Hits Volume 1.
Correct.
Which I love that it's a first big band album title, right?
Right. Yeah, that was my debut big band album.
It's great.
Greatest Hits Volume 1. And then I have 2 more, which are Greatest Hits Volume 2 and Greatest Hits Volume 3.
Nice.
I figured, a lot of big bands, they have tons of albums, and then they have their Greatest Hits album. So I thought I would just go straight to the Greatest Hits.
You might as well just go straight there.
Save everyone some time.
Yeah. Well, so Jacob's known for a lot of different things, and you play with Rufus Wainwright. You're a big band. Now you have a project, Cat Pack. You have Shrek is Love. Many people, probably if you're watching this, have seen your 1-minute jazz lessons, which are legendary in the community. Then you play with Lewis Cole, Noah, among other things. So I always find it absolutely amazing how versatile you are as a player, but then also like when you're doing any style, it's really authentic and great. And I feel that especially with jazz and swing. So what's your approach to approaching all these different things? And then what was your first entry into music? Like what got you into music?
Ooh. Well, first of all, thanks so much. That means
Yeah.
a lot coming from you. You're one of the best, jazz drummers I
Well,
know, and
thank you.
so that means a lot that all you guys, the three of you, the fact that you call me to play so often is such a thrill for me. Um, I mean, I feel like with whatever style of music I'm playing, I just try to immerse myself in that as much as possible.
Mhm.
Like, if I'm playing as a sideman with someone like Rufus or Knower, it's like I want to listen to all their albums, and even if all their songs aren't in the set list, it's just like kind of listen to their records, get to know, their story, maybe their motivations behind the music. When I play in Knower or with Rufus, really, I try to play the keyboard parts like they play them.
Mhm.
Rufus is a great pianist, Lewis
Mhm.
is a great pianist, so I try to like really kind of lock into their style. And I think, yeah, there are just certain things that transcend the genre, like, having great time. It's like no matter what style of music you're playing, like you basically have to have solid time to be a professional. And then I guess my first exposure to music, I would, when I was a baby, like before I could even remember, I guess I cried a ton. And, my parents would, you know, be constantly with me, but sometimes they would need a break. So they would drop me off at my grandparents' house. And my grandpa, his strategy was putting on Frank Sinatra records
Really?
and dancing around with me until I fell asleep. And to this day, I feel like no music hits me harder
Hmm.
than his music. And there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
So I think I always really loved like interesting rhythms and like lush orchestrations before I knew how to verbalize that. I just like loved those types of sounds. And then what really changed was when I started learning piano, and then I had the opportunity to play in school in 8th grade, and then that the opportunity was being in the jazz band.
Mhm.
So I learned all about improvisation and the big bands, listened to Count Basie's big band for the first time, and all these different classic
Yeah.
recordings, and that there was no turning back from. I
Hmm.
just, dived in and got super interested in improvising and immersing myself in that style.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. Frank's the same way for me. I didn't grow up, as far as I know, I didn't grow up in the same way, but yeah, nothing really hits me harder. It's
Totally.
it's just so great across the board. But Jacob's new album is out. It's called 32. It features yourself, obviously, John Richards on bass, or Jonathan Richards,
Hmm.
Christian Human. Does he prefer John or Jonathan?
You have to ask him.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll go
yeah,
Jonathan.
he puts
Safer.
Jonathan online, so I say that, but
Yeah.
John Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Great bass player. Christian's a great drummer. I really enjoy playing with those guys.
Yeah, that's a really great trio. And so I've checked out the album. It is already available on Bandcamp. I just wanted to ask about this record. Did you have like a specific vision for it or anything, or is it just
Well,
finally make? I know it's your first piano trio release, which
yeah,
is cool.
yeah. I feel like the piano trio format is typically the most logical place for a pianist to go for their first record. I kind of did some twists and turns
Mm-hmm.
before getting there. A lot of it was like I, you know, I felt like I didn't necessarily have a ton to add in that genre. There's so many unbelievable. I was like, I don't just want to throw another mediocre kind of trio album up there. But at a certain point, I thought about it as like, you don't have to be the best at something to do it. If you're having fun doing it. Um, and so I kind of booked a show in town, forced myself to write a bunch of music for it. I knew I wanted to play with those two guys, and so booked the show, did some music. I kind of went through that set, and the songs that really worked during the set we recorded
Mm-hmm.
and made it an album.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like both of them bring the best out of my playing, and it's just great. A lot of musical situations I play in are, pretty rigid, and it's like play the part,
Mm.
really lock in, and to be able to have sort of a more conversational aspect to the music and really listening, able to use some space, and that's a part of music making that I really enjoy. Another kind of mission statement that I had going into it was like how did live music become this thing where like everyone on stage and in the audience needs to wear ear protection or
Yeah.
else their hearing's gonna be lost. So I kind of wanted to make some like
Hmm.
soft music. A lot of my previous music, super loud and bombastic. So
Hmm.
this is a little break from that,
Nice.
and it's very different than anything I've put out in the
Hmm.
past. So I'll be eager to see how
Yeah.
people respond to it. But I had a lot of fun making it, and yeah, I hope to do something like that again.
Yeah,
For sure.
congrats.
Thank
And
you.
check it out. It's available everywhere streaming, and you can get it already on Bandcamp. The last question I want to ask you is about Stride Day Friday, which is like a fairly popular Instagram regular series you're doing, which is awesome. Just playing Stride, I guess, what brought you to this? Why did you start doing it? And yeah.
Well, I've liked practicing stride piano just in the house for a long time. For a long time, I didn't actually have a piano in the house. I
Mm.
would have a Wurlitzer, I'd have the Juno. So that was what I was writing on, recording on, stuff like that. A couple years ago, I finally had the space for a piano, so I got one, and then just got obsessed practicing every day. And a lot of times when I would sit down and practice stride, when I would sit down, I would practice stride. That would just be the first thing I would kind of
Hmm.
default towards, and um, I just think it brings the full potential out of the piano. It turns the piano into a big band or an orchestra.
Yeah.
And when I'm playing those tunes, I really think about the great orchestrators, Gordon Jenkins, Nelson Riddle,
Hmm.
Billy May, stuff like that. Just like, okay, here are the flutes, here what the trombones might be doing, and then just keeping the rhythm section in the left hand.
Nice.
Part of why I started putting them up was, I was getting a lot of calls to play synth with people. Um, the Rufus gig was getting me back to the piano a lot, which I loved. And then I was like, I would love to, play more swing stuff or just like get called to, do gigs like
Hmm.
that. And so it was just kind of alerting people in a way that like, oh, this is also something I like doing and
Yeah.
would enjoy doing more.
Nice.
So yeah, thanks for checking it out.
Yeah, of
It's a
course.
lot of fun for me to make, and
Mhm.
I, hope to make people's days a little better if they're doom scrolling and then
Yeah.
they just hit a tune and hopefully they enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing those. And you also have a course now about stride piano.
I do, yeah. I teamed up with my good friend Ted Case. He has a site called Piano Fluency, which is a great piano education website, and he's generously hosting the course just as a standalone course on his site. But yeah, it's sort of my approach to stride piano. I go into depth about that, walk through some of the arrangements I've put up,
Hmm.
and suggest some exercises for people who want to get into it, practicing their time, their voicings,
Sweet.
things like that.
Yeah, well, check it out. It's also up there along with your trio album and all these songs we've talked about. And now we're going to resume playing some music with
Let's do
Jacob
it.
starting us off with some stride. So that was You Make Me Feel So Young, followed by our version of Desafinado, which we actually recorded with you, Jacob, quite some time ago. But the big thing I noticed all across the board with all of your playing is how much rhythm is involved with everything. And not only great rhythm, but some of these big band arrangements and stuff, you can just be looping an ostinato of the same rhythm for a long time, and it's amazing and it's great. And it feels like no matter what, you can keep making new rhythms that I'm interested in listening to. So, do you have a reference for your approach to rhythm as far as, I guess, improvising and composing, and maybe you see those linked?
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, 100%. I feel like that's usually a starting point for me
Mm-hmm.
is like trying to get the groove right. Um, and, I think I always wished I was a drummer in a way.
Hmm.
When I went into beginning band in sixth grade, I really wanted to play percussion, but of course the list was very full. So I picked clarinet
Hmm.
instead. Um, but yeah, I think it was really after I graduated from music school that I really zoned in to like trying to focus on my time. I like looked around and thought about, outside of the piano, who are my favorite keyboardists?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that question for me was Lewis Cole and Jack Stratton.
Hmm.
And also, Sullivan Fortner on
Hmm.
piano to a large degree. And for Lewis and Jack, those guys are drummers first, and they sort of approach the keyboard like a drum.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, I should, what if I approached the piano like a drum, but also later on, what if I approached the entire big band like a drum? And each section is kind of its own percussion instrument
Mm-hmm.
in a way. And so I really like, playing with these ostinato rhythms, like you said, or just like building these sort of groove puzzles where like if you're dealing with a 16th note grid, you have the trombones hitting on these 16th notes, and then maybe the saxes um, sort of interplaying with that. And yeah, I just think that rhythm is a great thing to latch on to as a listener.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if you don't have a master's degree in music and understand the technicalities of the harmony and things like that, you can hear if like a band is communicating with each other rhythmically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I think a lot of the music I'm drawn to, like the meters, for instance. It's like those are four drummers
Yeah.
playing guitar, keys, bass, and drums, and so I just really love that aspect of music.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a cool overall approach, I guess, and it really comes through in what you play. And yeah, so
Thank you.
great.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing about like the Count Basie Orchestra
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of those head charts,
Yeah.
and even the arrangements too. It's just like that band, the crispness of the attacks and the releases,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just yeah, the attention to detail, the space that Basie plays between horn passages. It's almost like a little hi hat
Mm-hmm.
or a little like ride cymbal ding, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just really nice the way that the great bands uh, can really play with great time and kind of have that rhythmic element. And like I said before, I feel like that transcends genre. You can find that in the best music of any
Yeah.
era.
Nice. Well, you are one of the funniest people I know. And just to name a few, you have your 1 minute jazz lessons, of course. I was telling you about the song "Fractions of Pennies" that's on your album,
Oh
which is a
yeah.
great song and also a hilarious title once you recognize what it's talking about. And then what I also love about your humor is it's funny, but then it's like when you're doing something, ironically, it's actually really great. So like the Standards Trio is
Oh nice.
hilarious
Standard.
because
That's a deep cut. I
yeah,
like it.
but everyone's like actually performing very well. It's just hilarious that it's like a keyboard drummer and a keyboard bass player, and you're standing and you're all in
Right.
tuxes and uh, so yeah, I love your humor. Do you
Oh,
have
thank you.
a reference like where has that originated? Did you grow up in a funny family or what's?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of funny people in my family. We love joking around and laughing. Um, but yeah, just there are a lot of in college too. I feel like a lot of musicians
Mm-hmm.
are just super goofy, and we would, find these weird YouTube channels, like, Kyle Mooney. We would
Yeah.
watch like Nathan Fielder all the time. And so just people like that, where it's like, it seems like a serious endeavor, and then one thing is like slightly off.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my favorite stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of, stand-up specials and things like that.
Mm.
The 1 minute jazz lessons definitely came from me kind of graduating with all of this knowledge, with all this weird music knowledge in my head that's kind of esoteric. And like, I didn't have that much work. I was playing a lot in like pop cover bands and things like that. And it was fun, but it wasn't, the most fulfilling at the time. So I feel like, yeah, I was just like putting a ton of energy into trolling on the internet. And weirdly, it's sort of, I mean, this was kind of before Instagram. It kind of like spread a ton on Facebook, and I was like, this is very strange. But then once people got into it, I was like, oh, I guess I gotta like keep doing this. And then it got to a point where people kind of only thought I was, a comedian and didn't know I made actual music.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that's what pushed me. I was like, oh, I gotta make a record.
Mhm.
So I did the big band stuff, and but yeah, I definitely like keeping things lighthearted and try not to take myself too seriously.
Yeah, it definitely comes through, and in the best way, where it's like you're doing something really great, but yeah, not taking yourself too seriously. And I love the ways that your videos are for the serious big band arrangements, but then it'll just have like a random cartoon thing pop up,
Right.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, thank you again so much for being here and doing this and playing with us.
Oh,
Really
yeah,
appreciate
of
it.
course. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Fun show.
So we're going to close this out with Samba de Ovaio by Antonio Carlos Jobim, also known as the Jet Samba, and then Orange Coals by our very own Graham Dechter on guitar. Once again, thank you so much for watching Sessions with Shaw. My name is Ryan Shaw, and I hope to see you very soon for more great music.